All right, guys, you guys ready? Woo! Okay, if you guys can finally sit over on this side, that would be great. We'll start in like 2 minutes.
Okay, team. Oh, I don't know.
No.
Okay, make yay, final day. Come on.
Hey, Ibrahim. Hey, Dorcas.
Hi, Ivan. How are you?
Hey,
Γεια σου, Kigon.
Asu. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for joining. I know it's like really late in Greece, but I think a lot of the presentations and projects that you guys will see today are pretty amazing. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Is the volume and everything pretty good? Like, can you guys like hear us nicely? Perfect. Okay, so yeah, just waiting for Ted to join. And Tom, thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Okay, all set? Sweet. All right, so welcome to the Humanitarian Innovation Design class at RISD, Spring 2021. Today, it's our final critique, and the student teams will basically present, what they have created over the past semester. Just to give you a little bit more context, this class is kind of like, working on projects that MIT DLab and Photos, the NGO back in Greece, are kind of like working on. So we actually have a design class, a design school called the Horizon-Centric Design program. And basically the students here have been kind of working with the Horizon-Centric staff and some with the refugee boys to kind of co-create some activities that we can actually use at the Horizon Center. So before I begin the presentations, I just want to show you some videos and give you a bit more context on the project that we're doing, and then kind of like move on to the students' presentations. So let me just start a video real quick. You guys hear this down? Thumbs up. I know many of you guys kind of like know this, but there are some participants today, who joined the critique that really don't know about the project.
میگم نمیشه با چپ میشه الان چپ میشه یه دونه اینجا میمونه میوه درست میکنم تو از جور کن اصلا چپ میشه
مقسم رو 10
Stringilo
میکنم.
pizza.
خب
Stringilo pizza.
میشه 4 تا یعنی 14 تا. پس 14 تا
The all materials go first.
I think first of all it's for a very good cause to put some of my effort in helping the refugee crisis, and I also thought it's a very good experience to help solve some real life problems which we don't really get that much exposure to in a school setting.
So the course title was Humanitarian Design class. So I thought it's totally different from the courses I've taken before, so which was interesting. And another thing is that in this class we can work with people outside of RISD, like Faro, MIT, the lab. So yeah, I think that was interesting too.
From the start, honestly, I wasn't really sure what this class was about. I thought it was kind of like a humanitarian product design class, but as soon as as the time progressed into the class, I think I've gotten like an experience in system activity and just trying to help potentially.
I joined this class because personally I think that as designers and creative thinkers we have the social responsibility to be able to share our knowledge and pass on creative skills to other individuals who might not necessarily be exposed to these sort of skills in a daily basis.
Because I have been doing mostly product designs in the past, but now I want to try applying the same design thinking like outside of the limitation of product designs, and that's why I joined this class. Also, I'm like a little curious about how design works for nonprofit.
I think the most that I learned is to learn to adapt to changes, because we're creating materials and teaching from the US to create during a pandemic. So a lot of sudden changes we can't foresee. So being able to adapt and change accordingly is very important.
I've learned that teaching is difficult and hard in the sense that you have to test out as many times as possible, and also you have to be prepared fully before teaching. Yeah, that was the hardest point.
I think I've learned a lot in this class. I think the most important thing was we're creating something that's actually going to be used in real life, and I think that kind of really puts a sense of responsibility in our work. Also, I wasn't really informed about the refugee situation that is going on, and it was a learning experience in that situation. And in terms of just design works, I think designing for a class or to teach, I think there was a lot of details involved that we have to really look into. And yeah.
Throughout this semester, I learned about the importance of iteration and also really being able to solve for users that we might not necessarily be able to identify with on so really being able to emphasize with groups that we have not been exposed to normally, and really trying to put ourselves solve for bigger problems.
In this class, I learned that like just imagining myself as the user or audience is not enough, because it's like I have my own biases, and also I did the design myself and everything seems really clear to me. So it's very important for me to like test it out with my group members, other people around me, and also like the real audience if possible, because they have never seen what I'm doing before and they will be able to give me like a fresh pair of eyes.
I think it's a very rewarding experience knowing that our teaching materials is helping them, either big or small, and I also learned a lot from them, especially hearing their experiences.
Before teaching, I thought it would be similar to doing presentation in class, but it was a whole different experience because you have to check if they understand or if they are following the flow of class. Yeah, that was different from the experience of other courses.
For me, this class was like from start to end a little bit emotional. Like just seeing the boys in the Zoom class and kind of like really trying to like help us out, give us feedback. It was, I felt kind of emotional teaching class. I was kind of thankful. I was kind of motivated. Yeah, it was a nice experience for me.
So I think what was really enjoyable about the teaching experience was that it's always great when things go well and you see the students' faces light up and that they're having fun. So if there's anything, if the activities that we design can still give the students a reason to smile and help them gain some creative skills, I think that's great. Yeah.
I think while it's a learning experience for the students, it's also a learning experience for me because I've never been a teacher before. So like it's the first time I'm like responsible for leading such a large group and trying to like, even if I'm panic on the inside, I have to kind of compose myself and think on the spot, like not pass my panic down to the other students. And at the same time, I learned that even with a lot of preparation, it's still like never enough preparation. However, having like as many preparation as I can will help me like make better decisions when I'm like on the spot. I need to make changes to my plans.
Okay, so as you can see, like, yeah, a lot of the students have learned a lot of things. We actually did this class once at RISD before, back in 2020 spring. And yeah, so in that class, unfortunately, we weren't able to actually interact with the refugee boys to teach the classes. But this time around, we were actually able to have some chances to go through some user tests, but also teach some classes, online, which was really remarkable because it was a totally new kind of experience for the RISD students, and I believe also for the the refugee boys and girls too as well. I think there are a couple of people here that still haven't like really heard about what we do at the Horizon Center. So I'm gonna just do a really quick, brief like overview of what the Horizon Center design program looks like and what we actually do there. And after that, I will move on to the student presentations. So just bear with me for a while. Okay. There it is. Are you guys seeing the presenters mode or the actual presenters mode? All right. What about now? Do you see the full presentation? now?
Ewan, I think if you right click on your screen, there might be an option to change it. Change the
Swap
presenter.
displays, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Did that work? Did that work?
It still looks like you're not in the presenting mode. Oh, there we go. Yes,
that work?
works.
Oh, sweet. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Caroline. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whew. I'm still kind of like, yeah, having a hard time kind of figuring this whole Zoom thing out after a year of teaching over Zoom. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, the Horizon Center Design Program. Let me just run you through it real quick. It's an overview of our participants. So a lot of our beneficiaries come from these countries that you can see on the screen: Afghanistan, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Iran, Syria, Eritrea, and DRC. And as you guys all know, back from 2015, there was a huge migration that started, from many of these countries due to war, conflict, and everything. So yeah, and Greece is actually the first kind of like port where a lot of them come to before they actually, move on with their travel, migration to different like EU countries. So that's why the Horizon Center is a very like, important place because it is like the kind of central first stage of EU where everybody comes. And we think it's a really great opportunity for them to kind of like learn something and then actually build some capacity and then learn some new skills before they move on to different countries. So we have like three different, groups of beneficiaries. The first group is the boys who are, between the age of 14 and 17. And many of the boys that are actually in our program are unaccompanied minors. So when I say that, basically they are traveling by themselves without parents. Our second group is the girls program, which we started very recently. This group is also between the age of 14 and 17. And 100% of these girls are actually unaccompanied minors, which is, it's really hard to find unaccompanied girls who travel by themselves. But yeah, we were actually managed to find some organizations where we are now starting our online program with them. And we'll talk about that in a bit. And also we have a group of women who have been, at the Horizon Center since 2000, I think early 2020. And then this age group is also between 16 and 30, a lot larger. And, a lot of them are adults and minors. So yeah, we have been running this program too as well. Just to kind of like, give a big shout out to the Horizon Center staff. We have a lot of full-time staff over there working really, really hard, basically 24/7, I would say, to make sure that this program runs and is sustainable. And then our beneficiaries actually get the best out from it. So, I'm just gonna like shout out each name. If you can just wave on the screen, that'll be great. So Chris, our program leader, amazing guy. For the girls program design lead is Minnie. You can like, yeah, cool. And then next up for the design lead for the boys program, Dimitris. All right. So and then for the boys program design instructor, we have Ibrahim. Hey, yeah, cool. And then Saye. Cool. And then I'm not sure Yorgia is here, but yeah, we have Yorgia. And then also our first intern from, for the boys program. When I say intern, Benjamin usually used to be a boy who participated in the program, but we hired him as our intern. And then not sure, Benjamin, you're here, but yeah. And Dorcas, she is now our new design instructor. Sorry, I haven't like changed your affiliate, your title here, but yeah, Dorcas. Hey, yeah. So she has been helping us a lot out on the girls program recently. So yeah, so this is amazing staff that we have. we work really, really hard to make sure that, the program runs pretty well. And hopefully, you guys will have a chance to talk with them and then visit them someday. And obviously, this is a collaboration between FAROS and then MIT D Lab. So we have Amy, Martha, and myself on this team working on the program, curriculum building and stuff. And not last but not least, we have a bunch of students, from MIT, from Harvard, from RISD that are, working really, really hard, spending their full semester kind of helping us build activities, that we can actually deliver to the Horizon Center, to our beneficiaries. And I think the students' involvement in this project is really, really crucial, not just because they're learning new things, but they are actually building things that are real, that are actually actionable, that are delivered to the beneficiaries. And I think this help is really, really appreciated. So once again, thank you all to the students who are in this call and are in this classroom that kind of helped us out, make these activities. All right, so quickly going over the curriculum. Our curriculum is very hands-on, tons of vocational skills. We teach about the design process, and in the process, they learn different type of life skills. I'm not going to talk about the nitty-gritty stuff about the whole evolution of the design program, but I just wanted to show you that we actually went through tons and tons and tons of changes and iterations in order for us to derive to a place where we kind of have this 4 to 5 phase design program, which is now taught online. And today, a lot of the RISD students who will be presenting today have been focusing on the first phase called the activity class, where it's the first class that the new girls and boys, take, upon they actually come to the Horizon Center. And it's a very, very crucial kind of phase because you are bringing, these boys and girls who have been out from school for many, many years, coming from different cultural backgrounds, have been on this very, daunting journey. And now, having them come to the center was kind of enclosed, having new strangers, having adults that you don't trust, and then, but getting them to a space where they feel comfortable, really enjoy the space, really enjoy the design program, find new friends, trust adults. So we kind of wanted to create this really pleasant atmosphere, fun atmosphere for them to get really hooked on to the program. So it is a very crucial kind of stage for a design whole program that we have at the Horizon Center. And this semester, the RISD students, these two teams have been working really hard, have created 6 different activities that can be taught in this activity class. So I'm gonna show you some quick photos of the boys enjoying things, but basically what we do when the center was open, that we would have these weekly design challenges where old boys and new boys come together. They actually work as a team to kind of solve these design challenges that we have and just have a ton of fun. So yeah, that's what we really, really try to focus on. And I just kind of showed you in the previous video that I showed you just a couple minutes ago. The biggest challenge here is that when the center was open, just having these physical interaction was really amazing because it's a lot more easier for us to do things together, teach them. But when things shift onto a virtual space, a remote learning an online platform, things get really, really hard because our design program is very, very hands-on. It's very tactile, interactive, but how can you kind of bring that same experience into a virtual space is such a hard thing to do. So we had a bunch of constraints around it. Thankfully, the staff at the Horizon Center have reached out to many, many different shelter organizations around Greece. So now we are working with shelters at Red Cross, IOM, different shelters around Athens, and kind of have created this almost Zoom platform class where we are teaching. But in order to teach it, we actually have designed also this toolkit where it's kind of like a toolbox thing where you have all the different tools materials for you to actually execute these activities. And these have been disseminated to every single shelter that we've worked with. So when we actually do classes, they're not doing classes with nothing. They actually have stuff to do to kind of like follow along the activities. So I think I kind of like, spend a lot of time trying to explain the program. If you're kind of like, more curious about the whole thing, just like send me an email. I would love to schedule like a Zoom call with you guys to talk about it. But enough said, I'm gonna now like pass the mic over to the students for them to kind of explain, the projects they have created. So, right, stop sharing. Change the video. Sweet. Okay, so I'm here. All right, so our first team, team one, if you guys can please stand up, come over here. So we actually have a couple students who are now like on this Zoom call. Some are traveling, some are in different countries and different places. But yeah, these are some of the students in this team that were able to actually make it. And they are going to present their 3 activities that they have created this semester, and then also talk about their experience of how they taught the classes, what they have learned, and maybe share some insights that can be very, useful, for you guys who are kind of hoping to do something similar in the future. All right, so do you want me to share the presentation first? Okay, cool. Do you guys all see the, sorry? Can you guys all see the students and also hear us and also the presentation?
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. All right. So
Okay, so hello, we're Team 1, and today we're going to present the activity design for Horizon Center. Can you, next. So like before start, we want to just introduce ourselves quickly. So I'm Dehi and I'm a junior in ID.
Hello everyone, I'm Rayhan and I'm also a junior in ID.
Hello, I'm Chris. I'm also a junior in ID.
So before jumping into the activities we got, like we just want to briefly go over our design process first. So the project goal is to create activities for students to actively engage and have fun while learning something from our activities. And this is our design process. So firstly, we did research and interviews with Horizon Center staff to gather information, and then we did information synthesizing, and then we did idea generation and development using the SLIP method and also brainwriting method. And then lastly, we did user testing to refine our ideas. Like, so we did user testing in our class and also with Horizon Center staff as students. And these are the pictures of our prototypes. So we did prototyping to try out and figure out our initial ideas. And then we did user testing with our classmates and also with Horizon Center students to define our activity ideas. So move on to the activities. So these are the 3 finalized activities. So the first is collaborative maze making, and the second is inventor card game, and the last one is Let's Get It Factory.
So I will talk about the first activity that we created, which is called collaborative maze making. And this is a class that's intended for the activity class. Basically, to give a brief overview of this class is that we invite students to become in teams, and then they design and create a physical maze that they can compete with each other. So the learning objective of this class is to help them learn teamwork and basic design process through maze design. Activity 1 class structure follows like the learn, imagine, create, and test. So for the learn part, the students are introduced to the basics of the maze while trying out the maze worksheets. So the maze worksheet comprises of 3 levels of maze and even a bonus level. In these activities, the students will, I think around in 5 minutes, complete these mazes. We put these mazes in different levels so that they can learn how maze develop to become more difficult, and at the same time accommodate for like students of like with different levels, so nobody feels left out. For the second phase, imagine, each student will design 2 mazes on the worksheet that they think can be as difficult as possible and pick out the more complicated one between the 2. So in this phase, students will utilize what they learned when they were doing the maze in the first phase and put this into design. And here they will think about how to make the maze more complicated, how to create obstacles, and they will share their ideas with the whole class. In the create phase, the students will be split into teams of around 2 or 3 people per team, and each team designs a maze that's as difficult as pass-through as possible, and they will build a physical maze based on their design. So there are several pictures on the process of building the maze. So we'll give them glue gun, cardboard sheets, popsicle sheet sticks, and then they will build a physical maze. And for testing part, each team will swap their maze with the other team and tries to move the marble as fast as possible. Team who made the hardest maze is the winner. So each team will have 2 people holding the maze on each side, and they will move the marble through the maze as a competition. Yeah, this is an example of how you can play the maze that you build. And I actually have put right here. Or actually, yeah. For the activity 1, the in-class package includes a detailed instruction guide for the teachers, slides, and a student activity handbook where they can print out and use in class. So we did a activity 1 class demonstration with the advanced boys in the Horizon Center. So we received feedbacks from them. There were like 5 students in total. I was leading the class, Chris was assisting, and Davey was taking notes in the class. Because this activity was intended for in person, but this class was actually had to be taught online, and each student was at a different location with their own Zoom camera. So we have to think on top of our head and put the handbook in the mural board and ask them to use the pen tool to complete the worksheet. And these are some photos of the physical maze results that they made, which was really amazing, considering like the limited materials and all the technical difficulties. So what we learned from this activity, like teaching it online, was that we can add a remote class package. Before doing this class online, we never thought it was possible to do this class on Zoom, but then we realized that if we put the mural board, like put the student worksheet on the mural board and teach them how to use the pen tool and asked them to gather some simple materials. It is possible to teach this class completely on Zoom. So we added an online section on the instruction sheet and created a mural board for this class.
Hello, and I'll be also talking about our second activity, which is the Inventor card game that we created. This card game, we kind of intended it for all kinds of different levels of class, including activity, intro, and advanced class. And our objective for this class was to basically kind of promote rapid idea generation and possible communication skills while playing this game. And we also followed the steps of learn, imagine, create, and test to build this activity. And so in order for us to explain this card game, we made our card game instructions and an instruction video that we can play. So just to briefly, just to go over the instructions, like it said in the video, the whole point of the game is to get rid of the object cards that you receive from the game at the start. And you can do that by creating ideas using 2 object cards into a criteria card. Criteria cards being kind of like the context. And so we've kind of, we've had a lot of testing phases with this card game. We were kind of, like the wild cards were added to kind of make it more exciting. We were, and yes and no cards were added so that the ideas can be proved yes or no. And within our class package, we have the class instruction guide to show what materials or what time we need. So we have the slides and also the instructions, which includes the paper and the instruction video. These are the pictures of the cards that we created, and hopefully we can send it out to Horizon Center as a physical thing in the future. And also we have the A4 printable cards where if we are not able to send the physical cards itself, the centers can also print out the cards themselves and try out the game. And activity 2 for class testing, we haven't had the opportunity to test with the students, so we are going to have a testing session within this class. Oh, and this is on Zoom testing where we kind of tested out like the process and the steps of this game. And this is the in-class testing. It has like a heating system inside.
What does the bottom?
Tumbler is to maintain the heat. This is to actually heat.
Like then you can boil it. Like is it
Well,
self
that's
heat?
a little. It has like. Yeah, so we will be having a quick session of how to play this game in a real quick matter. So if you can hopefully click on the Miro, we have the card game set up. And so one of my teammates is going to be playing with us just to give like a brief explanation or like just an example of how to play the game.
Did everybody get the link? Oh, it seems like.
Okay, so if one person gets 8 cards, 8 object cards, which are shown on the bottom as red cards.
So please change your name on top of the sticky notes to claim your character. I'm gonna be the panda for today, and I've changed my name on top of it to Rehan.
And we unfortunately only prepared 4 more additional players. So
Whoever gets it first.
yeah, it will be first come, first serve.
And if anyone have any questions, please just shout out and we can restate the instructions again.
Okay, we will be joining for 30 more seconds and we'll start the game. Okay, so to start off the game, each players will be handed out 8 object cards, 2 wild cards, and the yes or no cards. And what the players basically have to do, like it was shown in the video, we are supposed to take out 2 object cards, create an idea in context to the criteria cards, which is the blue cards on the middle. And wild cards propose that there are options to make the games possibly more easier or more challenging for the other players. And so if you can go ahead and read what you have for wild cards, you can basically use that throughout the whole game. And so Rehan will give us an example of 2 object cards. And
yeah. Okay, so for the criteria card, I'm gonna choose for babies, and in my object card I see there is a toothbrush and a clock, and I'm proposing an idea that there is a clock, like a timer on the toothbrush, like for toddlers, like kids in general, that sometimes they don't brush their teeth for as long as like 3 minutes. So there is a clock like on the toothbrush with like a little alarm thingy, so they know exactly how long they should brush their teeth. So if anyone, like everyone wants to say yes or no, they can put their card out in the middle.
Right. So now that Rehan said an idea, each player goes around and puts out whether that idea seems appropriate, whether or that idea doesn't seem right. So if you can put the yes or no cards.
No.
Yeah, Omar.
Why? If you put the no card, you will have to explain why you put the no card.
So because Omar had said no, in the rules of the game, Omar would have to explain why that idea isn't credible.
Okay, so I think like the criteria cards specified for babies, and the explanation of the idea, whether it's even if it's cool and it's amazing to have that timer integrated in a toothbrush, it's not really designed for babies, more for toddlers, as you say. So that's why I would say no.
Right. Okay. So as a moderator, I thought that idea was credible, but if on the other, in other instance where if Rayhan had gotten 2 more no's or more votes on no's, Rayhan would be picking out 2 more object cards in return for her idea. But if there was more, now that there was more approval cards, and Omar had said no, Omar receives 2 more object cards.
Cool.
Omar, are you the robot? Oh yeah, you're the robot.
I think so, yeah.
You're the moderator.
Okay, and then we'll have just one more, maybe if someone in the Zoom call can give it a try. And then after that, we'll move on.
Omar, Caroline, what do you guys want to give it a shot?
Oh, yeah, I mean, if Caroline wants to do it, I can be next.
I don't know if I have any ideas on my for my cards for babies.
Oh, it doesn't have to be for babies. Like, there are 4 criteria cards. You can choose any of one.
Oh, okay. So maybe I'll choose. Maybe I'll choose for school, and my idea would be, I was thinking this would be for like a music class for school, like the bracelet and the guitar. Or should I move my cards into the middle then?
Sure.
The bracelet and the guitar, like the one thing on the bracelet could be used as a guitar pick, and for kids in school it would be easier not to lose like a small guitar pick if it's on a bracelet.
Yeah, I like that idea. And then now that Caroline proposed an idea, now every other player gets to vote whether that idea was appropriate, yes or no.
I voted yes, but didn't appear on.
Right. So I think majority of us has said yes. And now that Caroline has proposed an idea, she gets to put down the 2 cards next to her as a use card. So we've just had a brief chance on how to play this game. We haven't really touched upon the wild cards, but like I've kind of explained earlier, wild cards are just like a little, hopefully to like promote little more challenges, or so it, like for example on this screen you just like switch 2 criteria cards from the deck. So if you're stuck on an idea or if you're stuck in something, you can switch it. Okay, thank you very much.
And you guys want to quickly show the cards on the table?
So these are the cards that we like send out to a company to print it out as like real poker cards. That's the back page. the yes or no cards, these are like flip. And then the criteria cards, and there are 56 like object cards. Oh, and then also we have the A4 size printable ones for those who are not able to get the manufacturer card. These are super easy just to print and cut. Like, and these are pretty big so that if we are going to teach this on Zoom, everyone's like very easy to see what's on the card. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll talk about the activity 3. So the activity title is Let's Get It Factory, and it's designed for activity class. And the learning objective is to learn higher level of teamwork and physical prototyping throughout the activity. And for class structure, it's composed of 5 phases. So it starts with the small icebreaker game, which is the machine game. And it's the motion game that all of the students play together. And also it's for lightening the mood up. So as you can see in the video, that once one starts with a certain movement, then the next person should do another motion that's connected to the prior movement. Yep. And then in the learn stage, students are gonna watch the short footage of the factory, and then they're gonna learn about how the factory system works, and also learn that the factory system is team-based. And in the learn imagine stage, like students are gonna given the context that they are workers at the orange factory, so they have to make a tool. So their duty is to make a tool to move an orange to the next worker. So that means that they have to make a tool to move an orange to the next person. So in the create stage, they're gonna create a tool in 5 minutes. And there are 2 rounds in the create stage. So in the first round, students can use all of the materials given, but in the second round, they can only use 2 materials to create a tool. And this is the test stage. So in this stage, students stand in one line and move an orange to the next person. And if someone falls the orange on the floor, then they have to fix the tool together in 5 minutes. And after the fixed session, they're gonna try out and test out their tools again. And this is the class package for activity 3. There are instruction guides, slides, and handbook. And yesterday we did class demonstration with Red Cross boys, and there were 2 students, and in there I was a class leader, and Chris assisted me throughout the class, and Luyan did taking notes. And this is the pictures of the tools that students created in class. And I want to just point out a few things that we learned from the class demonstration. So firstly, since we only had 2 students, so we were not able to do the machine game. So we skipped that part. So with that being said, the class structure needs flexible space to be adjusted according to the number of students. And secondly, on the shelter side in Greece, like there was an unexpected happening happened, and also in the create phase, students needed more time to create their tools than we expected. So with that being said, class duration could be longer than you expect. So flexibility of time is also important.
So I'll be talking a few insights that we've gained throughout designing the activities and teaching and testing them out. So I think one of the first lessons we learn is like it's completely okay to start over. So throughout our designing process, there were several activities, like 3, that we actually was like fully on designing and planning, did a lot of testing, but then throughout the testing phase, we realized they don't work either due to the class wasn't clear on what its goal was. It might be too hard for the students, some material difficulties, and some of them was just not as fun to do. So we decided to abandon them and start over. And we thought from this process, we realized that it's completely okay, and it's better to do that instead of just trying to make things work when they don't. And then another insight that we learned is that to prepare for every scenario, this class was pretty difficult because we are again like preparing these stuff in the US, teaching it to Greece, and there's a lot of language barriers, technical difficulties, and then there's also a lot of like cultural differences. And what we realized is that graph, pictures, and videos are the universal languages, and then that's why we included a lot of pictures, illustrations, and videos in our package, so that it's a lot easier for students to understand, and it's also better to grab their attention, because a lot of things can be lost in translation since the students all speak multiple different languages. And then also in this time, we learned to adapt to both online and in-person classes. Initially, all of our classes were created thinking that it would be an in-person scenario, but when we were testing and teaching, we realized that all of them can actually be adapted to an online platform. So we adjusted a lot of our activities that can be that can do both. So like utilizing like a lot of different technologies like Miro can actually create like a sense of actually people are together when they're physically apart. Also online, there's a lot of unexpected things happening. For example, in yesterday's class, there were only 2 students and there was a lot of technical difficulties that we weren't able to foresee. And then we have to sometimes adjust time, give students more time in doing their activities. Also, like sometimes we have to change our class instructions on the spot to accommodate different needs. But then I think just learning to change and adapt to different situations on the spot is also another big thing that we learned throughout this process. So for our next steps, right now we're thinking about, since we manufactured 1 pack of the card game, we think that after we moderate them a little bit more, we can print out the cards and possibly send it to Greece and different shelters so that they can have a nicer quality cards in each place. And then also throughout teaching, we realized that most of them don't speak English, so we're hoping that our handbook and student worksheets can have different translations in the future so that more students will be able to use them better. Yeah, and that's it.
And me and my team will be answering some of the questions, possible questions that you guys would have.
But thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so thank you so much, team. Yeah, really great job. Are there any questions from the group?
I have a question.
You wanna?
Hey everyone, I'm Dara.
She's our TA, by the way. Yeah.
I was in this class last year. I was wondering for the card, first of all, amazing work, and I've seen your process from start to finish, so it's really cool to see what you guys came up with. I was wondering when you were playing the card game with the students, were they deterred at all from putting a no card down, since there is a moderator position that can override certain things? If you get more object cards added to your own offering, did you find that less people wanted to speak up against something or question an idea, or how did you find that interaction?
So we unfortunately haven't had the chance to try it out with the Horizon boys yet, but when we did try it out with in class or with other groups of people, yeah, we did find the importance in having a moderator because the moderator sets out this. And, yeah, it was mostly intended for like majority rules, but yeah, I'm not sure how to answer the question.
So people still would say no and keep trying to express, if they thought the idea might not work, they would still say no, even if they would have to get more cards.
The point of saying no is that like they have to explain themselves.
Yeah.
And then if they explain themselves and it's legit, like like it's credible, the person who got the no card, like who took out the idea, had to take out 2 more object cards. So it is actually like, I don't think in our testing list this class, I don't think anyone really shied from saying a no, because it kind of like because there's a platform for everyone to express the reason for it. So I think once people really communicated their ideas, like it was fine. But we haven't yet tested it out with the students. Yeah.
I think they're really going to enjoy it. I feel like you could really get into it and have a good time.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Or any feedback you guys want to give?
I just thought that the changing things to make them work with Zoom teaching was really interesting. When during the opener and Phelan was saying how you guys had to do a lot of that, I was like, oh, I'm so excited to hear how they change things. And it seems like too with your designs, like it, especially with things like the card game, you put a lot of thought when you were printing out the cards and making them printable and making them larger so that they're easy to print, but also easy to see on Zoom. And then even the online version was super cool. So kudos to you for actually, I think sometimes with Zoom versions of things, they seem like they're lesser quality or they're kind of like the second option. But I think the way you guys did it, you were showing your Zoom students that you care about their experience too.
Thank you, Caroline. Any other feedback or questions?
Yes, can I give some feedback?
Oh, sure, of course.
Okay, with hello. Okay, with the teams we have already spoken because we ran some of the activities with the Red Cross together. So yeah, as they said, the ability to adapt on the situation of each shelter is crucial and important, and they did really good. I try a simplified version of the game with our shelter in Vironas. We didn't play the game because it was the first time that they experienced any ideation session. So we just take the cards and I ask them to combine two random cards. So I don't know if you can see, this is one of their designs. So this is a chair that has lamps. And this is also the lamp with a jar as a nice decor lamp. So yeah, these are boys that this is their first time they did ideation. So what I want to say is that your game is really flexible, and we can adjust in different levels of knowledge and skills with our students. And this is something that we can really use. It's really helpful. I have transferred the feedback from the educators that they really enjoy, that the boys really enjoy the activity with the oral thing. So yeah, yeah, that's my tip. Well done.
All right, so yeah, I just like wanted to say that this team did a really remarkable work on trying to create these activities that are very engaging, enjoyable. Also, that uses less materials as possible. Try to use the materials that we actually have in site, which is really challenging because that's a huge constraint. Yeah, but they pulled it off pretty well. It's really fun to do. One thing I really think this team did remarkably well is thinking about different type of contexts. When I say contexts, is that we're working with multiple different type of shelters, and each shelter actually has the same toolkits and materials that we provided from the Horizon Center, but each shelter actually has a different type of tech equipment available. So some places only have internet in a 7-inch small tablet, whereas some places have a computer, a laptop, a projector, everything, and some places just have a smartphone. So how can you accommodate all these different type of shelters that have totally different type of tech settings available and actually run the same activities? So what this team has done is that it's not just that they have created physical cards that look really fancy and nice that can be printable, but what if it's a place that we can't send these cards over, or they don't have the funds to do it? Simply we send them a PDF, you print it out, you cut it up by yourself and use it that way. Or things like they actually have the handbooks. Do you guys have the handbooks already? Those handbook sheets and stuff, they're PDF files, you print it out, you use it. So they're thinking about, hey, what if a class runs and the internet is so bad? I mean, you're doing this class on Zoom and it's gone, right? Yeah. Are we gonna just stop the class? No, we have PDF printables, which they don't have right now, but you guys have seen it in the presentation, where you print it out and use it, and it tells you exactly step by step on how to go through the activity. And each of these places where we actually do these activities, it's done in a shelter where there is an instructor, on site. So that person who doesn't really know much about the design program can still read these handbooks and kind of walk the students through it to actually finish the activities. So there's multiple dimensions these students have thought about in order to create these nice activity packages where we can deliver it to those, whoever, have different type of tech equipment around. So I think that's really well done in this team especially. And yeah, I will send out links to all the materials and things and stuff later on for you guys to check out too as well. Okay, cool. Sweet. Great job. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna quickly move on to team 2 and then go through the activities and stuff. So let's see. Oh, thank you guys once again. Oh, you're gonna, yeah, sweet. Do you want to? Are you gonna control it? Oh, somebody's gonna control it. I don't know. Somebody's sharing it.
Yeah, I'm sharing it.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
Since you're ready.
All right, so I know there's only one person standing here right now, but the rest of the team are in different places around the world, traveling, different cities. But today in our in-person class, Sissy was the only person who could actually make it. So yeah, I guess Sissy, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming to our final presentation. We'll first introduce our team. So I am Sissy, and I am a senior studying industrial design at RISD.
And I'm Tae. I'm a junior in ID. I'm currently in Korea. Hi.
Hi, I'm Karam. I'm a junior studying in industrial design.
Hello, I'm Lily, and I'm also a senior studying industrial design. And I'm just gonna go ahead and introduce the journey through our activity class curriculum design for Horizon Center. So first, I want to briefly introduce our project goal. So we want to design activities that could encourage collaboration and the learning of design skills, activities that allow for students to have physical artifacts to take away. And the target age group is 13 to 17 years old. So the activities that we develop have to be fun, but they can't be childish. Basically, we want them to learn in a fun way. And we also try to make the activities as gender neutral as possible. So then we can move down to the design process. Our design process is mainly divided into 4 steps: research, ideation, prototype, and testing. So in the research stage, we looked up a lot of references, and we also interviewed with students, as many in the materials, so that we have a firm criteria when we are doing ideation. And the next 3 steps kind of melt into each other. We do group brainstorming, and then we develop the activities, and then we come up with prototypes to test. And then like from those testings, we adjust and improve the guidelines. And then finally, we test the prototypes with the class with the Red Cross Prize programs. And then we found out even more areas to improve. And then we would go back to brainstorming. So it's like a loop. And we also, for the research, we also looked at other online education platforms like Coursera, Udemy, IDEO, YouTube, edX, Khan Academy, etc. And the qualities of these courses that we were really drawn to are reciprocal connection, fun and informative, and cost efficiency. And these are some of the qualities that we are aiming to achieve with our activities as well. And we also looked at existing art, craft, and STEM projects and classes. We found it really important to have to conduct these activities with accessible materials and to have them to be imagination provoking. Also easy on the craftsmanship so that it's not intimidating. And we also did interview with Ismini and Dimitrios for the information gathering. And the overall tips that we got from them that we have to provide clear steps in curriculum instructions. We also need to consider the language barriers because English is not the first language. And due to the language barriers, abstract activities are really hard to explain and engage with. And students really enjoy classes that produce physical artifacts. And we also have to put in mind the medium of these courses, that we have to show the drawings to the students through camera, and the students would also have to present their products through the in front of camera as well. We also can we also don't have to limit the class to the class itself. We have students work after class and update with photos of end results. And we also need to make an extra effort of returning the sense of community in the online format. And then we interviewed with the advanced students, and the students said that what they really enjoy about these classes are a sense of community, bond with instructor, broaden horizon, and they also learn practical skills from it. Yeah, so with all these information that we have gathered in front, we were ready to move on to idea generation and to come up with candidates for the 3 activities. And next, we're going to introduce the design activities that we came up with.
Tating.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I'll start from here. Yeah. So the first activity is called Launch the Ball activity. And the main concept is to design a ball launching tool out of limited material and build a model and test it out to shoot the ball into a goal. So basically, I wanted the students to invent a tool and play a game with it. So as Heewon mentioned, having fun for the students was the key. I believe I believe it was the key. So I wanted the class to be a game, so they could enjoy it. So the learning objective would be to experience and learn ideation on process and making and modeling skill, testing and reiterating. Go next. Can you go to next? So so we also took the design process of learn, imagine, create, and test. For the learning part, I wanted students to have a learning of mechanisms that shoots the ball, that launches the ball. For the imagination part, I wanted them to have ideation and designing and sketching skills to what they will make. And for create, they will be physically build a model that actually functions to shoot the ball. And for the test, I want it to be a game part that testing the model would be also playing the game. Go to next. So yeah, so first to invite the student to the class, plus make the activity more sense to them and give reason to concentrate on the activity, we made introduction scenario. So storyline goes like this, that the student is the oldest brother of the family, and one of the younger brother's phone is broke. So he said that he cannot play the Angry Bird on his phone. So you want to recreate his favorite mobile game, Angry Bird, into the real life, so they can play the game in real life with their family and friends. And then, so we invite students through this scenario, and then I introduce the rules of the game, and then we go on to the next stage. Go to next. So, and the student will go on the ideation part and come up with a design and sketch it on the piece of the paper for 10 minutes. I didn't expect like too much of advanced design skill or sketching skill. I just wanted them to have what's in their mind on the paper. Then make the design to, can you go to next? Then I wanted them to make the design to the model with the given material. I wanted it simple, so I limited the material with a cardboard, rubber band, tapes, scissors, rulers, and pens. So can you go to next? Yeah, for them to have a better understanding of model making and physical the physics of this launching the ball mechanism. I made this sample models and made the GIF files so they can understand have a better understanding of how to shoot, how to build the models. Okay, so can you go to next? So finally, we tried this activity with our beneficiaries, and the situation was like this when we were teaching. Uh, it was taught in the Red Cross Shelter daily design classes, and there were 4 students attending the day, which was smaller than I expected, but then it was fine. The Demetrius was present remotely as we were, and then there was he was really the biggest help we had, and also there were 2 shelter instructors who were physically present with the students. So the class worked out well in some level, but didn't go so as expected as we did in some degree. One thing that most uh, went well really most is the fact that students enjoyed this activity as we wanted them to. But there were some problems too. One was a language barrier, as we knew from the research period, but it was still a really big challenge for us. Every slide and speech that we make, there had to be a translation session, and I also, I as an instructor couldn't fully understand what was going on because I couldn't understand their language. Classroom just consumed so much time and interrupt the class. Also, short of the resource was another difficulty that uh, even we had very small class, but they had to share one laptop screen for 4 students, making them hard to see the presentations and stuff. Also, the internet connection wasn't so great. The learning culture was also different. I expected to have like a all together final session, final discussion session. But as soon as one group was done, they come up with screen and did the discussion individually. Later, I was told that it just works that way because of the technical difficulties and the short of the resources. And but what covered all of this difficulty were the ability of the instructor to help other students. They were really helpful to translate, to help the students and everything, which was amazing. Go to next. So these are the result. These are the students' model that they came up with. One on the left, a group of students came up with the model with a visual interpretation of a tank, which I didn't expect. Or I didn't guide them to have like a visual interpretation or something like that. But they ended up like adding their really big ideas into it, which was unexpected, but which was really great. But then also just one on the right is student who come up with the one on the right had once he was done with this first model, we didn't have like time to have like more reiteration, but he had like many great ideas to make improvements on this for further developed models, so which was really great. Okay, can you go to next? So the major problem we faced were technical difficulties as so like a lack of resources also, so which gave us hard time seeing this, gave the students hard time seeing the screen. So I came up with this handbook that can replace the screen, so in case there is no screen or for when the internet or the screen isn't malfunctioning, this handbook could replace the screen and hand it out to the student, and they could understand and see what's going on, what they need to know from this handbook. Yeah, this is one reiteration part. Yeah, that's good.
Hi, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce activity 2, which is the cardboard chair activity. So all our activities have a strong storytelling narrative to them. So for this particular activity, we wanted the students to imagine that they were on a bus and it was really packed, so they had to stand because all the seats were taken. Next. So this is relevant because the final challenge is to construct a cardboard chair that they can use to quickly fabricate a chair that their teacher can sit on because they are tired. So to do this, first, the learn phase is learning about cardboard properties and its uses. The imagine phase is learning and testing out how to connect cardboard together. Create is building the chair, and test is testing the chair. So we wanted the students to come up with full-size cardboard chairs, which could be tested by the instructor, and then open up a discussion for how their chairs could be made stronger. Next. So in terms of class setup, we wanted to use very simple materials. So corrugated cardboard panels, these could be cut up from cardboard boxes, scissors, construction paper, and some hot glue. Next. So for the cardboard chair, this is designed to be an activity class, and students can learn the basic properties of the material cardboard and techniques. And in terms of learning outcome, they will learn some design skills and basic physics. So I designed this to be a 1.5 hour class, but after doing some testing, realized that maybe it should be a 2 hour class or a class that can be split into 2 sessions. And I decided that we should have a slide deck for high-tech situations, or a handbook and instruction guide for low-tech situations, and also have samples for the instructor to reference. Next. So in terms of a hands-on aspect of learning, so providing students with panels of cardboard and having them fold in different directions to test out how grain direction of cardboard makes things easier to fold or harder to fold, and having them rip off the top layer of paper to see what's underneath to further their understanding of the material. Next. And also I had some samples that would also benefit from having the instructor show the students how to construct these in real time, so students can get an understanding of how one might use cardboard to connect and make shapes, and how strong each of these structures are. Next. So for the challenge portion of this activity, students are encouraged to use cardboard, scissors, and hot glue to make a chair for their instructor who has tired legs to sit down on. And also, to add a bit of a challenge, the students are required to lift their instructor at least 20 centimeters off the ground so they are not sitting on the hard floor. Next. So in terms of how the instruction guide would look like, there'd be a basic scenario and some questions for discussion and some more visual references. Next. So before testing out the activity with an actual Horizon Center class, we did some in-class testing. So I tested this with RISD students, and we had a go at making chairs or smaller prototypes of chairs. Next. And this is the results from the session we did with the Horizon Center with a Horizon Center class, and the results were quite different from what I expected, but I was really pleased with all the beautiful designs that the students came up with. Next. So this was an activity class for the boys, and there were roughly 7 or 8 students, and I was participating as the teacher in the class, and with lots of help from Dimitris, and I think one of the Red Cross instructors and translators were present. So what worked was that the boys had fun, and they seemed to have understood the properties of cardboard, because when we asked them about what they could do to make their chairs better, that they had definitely understood some of the learn phase. What didn't work was that there were a lot of technical difficulties, and I realized that translation also took quite some time. So overall, this activity, we couldn't finish the last portion of it because it took more time than expected. And also the boys had preconceptions of what chairs were like. And so they created a lot of chairs with legs that might not be the strongest structures. So yeah, so in terms of what changes we'd make, we would make accommodations for low-tech situations such as activity guides and handbooks, as well as showing chairs without legs. And something I'd want to do differently next time is definitely try to engage more with the students. Next.
So, hi everyone. I will be talking about a third activity our team came up with. It's named Better Chapstick. So the objective of this activity is we want to design an activity for the activity stage of the HC program. And in this activity, we will introduce the user and designer mindset to the students. And it should be an easy and fun way to familiarize, like for the students to familiarize themselves with the peers in the class and start simple collaborations. Next. The learning outcomes we expect students to get from this activity include the user and designer mindset, understand, learn, imagine, create, and test design process. Also team communication, brainstorm, and collaboration. Familiarize to the method of modeling and testing design simultaneously to improve effectiveness. And also they will be learning how to use chopsticks the real way, as many of our students are not from Asia, so we assume that maybe a lot of them haven't used chopstick before, so this will be like an interesting and an engaging object to start our activity class. Next. So first, we'll talk about the class setup. On the left side are the essential materials that we believe the student should have. So first, we want some paper. They could be like colored construction paper or normal printer paper, and then a pair of chopsticks, any kind of tape, 2 containers, and some food samples such as M&M candies or snacks like crackers. And the students will be split into groups of 2 to 3. So even if we have a large class, that will work. If I have a really small class with only a few students, that would also work. The whole entire activity will take about 1 to 1.5 hours. And if we can't deliver the chopstick to the students in time before class, then we could use like straight long rods such as pencils to use as chopstick backup. And if we still don't have enough pencils for every student, we could also just roll up a paper into a stick form and use as chopsticks. Next. And here are some optional materials that will probably widen the design potential for the students. For instance, scissors, pipe cleaners, clay, elastic band, string, and any other material that they could find in their toolkit. Next. So now we'll briefly talk about the summary of this activity. We will first start, like all the other activities we have made, a narrative scenario. In this activity, we will want the student to imagine they're on a vacation going to Asia, and then we will have a lecture. Oh, and then they will be going to a restaurant where they're served Asian food and also provided with chopsticks. And then maybe they'll ask, what are these chopsticks? What are these two sticks used for? And we have prepared a lecture slide on the history of chopsticks, how it's developed in China and it's spread to the rest of Asia, such as Vietnam, Japan, and Korea. Next. After the lecture slide, we will have the student try out these chopsticks however they want without actually learning the proper way. So they could just use like their assumption of how this object is used to participate in our first chopstick challenge. And so this challenge, every team will get a large bowl. All members will try to pick items out from one bowl into another. And by the end of the 1 minute, team with the most item in the second bowl is the winner, as demonstrated on the gifts at the bottom of the slide. After the students participate in this first chopstick challenge, we will have a class discussion on how the experience was, whether the chopsticks were hard to use, easy to use, or like easy, hard to understand or easy to understand. Next. After we have the class discussion, the student will start going to the imagine stage of this activity where they think about how to make this chopstick better, easier, and better to use for new users, and maybe sketch their ideas out. So they have a like more clear visualization of what they're thinking. And then they will model their sketch and and then we have 30 minutes for them to make their modified chopstick. And then we'll host a second chopstick challenge where they will repeat the same chopstick challenge process, but using their modified chopstick. So we could see like a before and after effect of like how their modification improved the chopsticks. And after the second challenge, we'll have a reflection session on how everything went and whether they enjoyed it or not. And by the end of the class, we'll teach them the real way to use chopsticks. Next, if we break this activity into the 4 key stages of learn, imagine, create, and test, in the learn stage, in learn stage, the steps include the chopstick history lecture and also the first chopstick challenge, where they get to experience what it feels like to be a new user to some object they are not used to. And then in the imagine stage, the steps include things the students can like imagining things they could do to make something better than it was, and also talk within the team to generate ideas and then sketching the ideas out. In the create stage, the steps include modeling the things they imagined and created. And finally, in a testing stage, that will be the second, they will test as they go, but also the second chopsticks challenge is an opportunity for them to test and demonstrate their models again to the whole class, and also like witness and observe the before and after of their redesigned chopsticks. Next. In terms of prototyping and testing for this activity, we first started like testing this activity among ourselves in our RISD class. And we found out that some ideas that we think could probably make a chopstick easier to use didn't actually make it easier. And like that might be a humor effect and maybe it's good. And also sometimes like because the chopstick is such a small device, we kind of did it individually. But however, even if we want to do it individually, we realized that we will glad to have someone like build around our hands while we operate the chopsticks. And next. Finally, we conducted this class with the advanced design boys from the HC Center. We didn't get a chance to do this class yet with like new students, but we did test it out with students who already have some experience with design process, and they give us some valuable feedback, such as we probably need images or videos could clarify what our setup is. And that's why we created all those images and GIFs and found extra images that you saw in the previous slide. Also, they mentioned we should consider and control for the consistency of each food for each team. Also, we should have an introduction to why there are chopsticks, so the students don't question why do I suddenly have to like do things with these two sticks. And during the making stage, we have like 30 like student will be like quietly trying to focus on what they're working. However, like there's a ambient awkward silence, and we believe it would be better to fill it in with some music to hype up the class. Next. For all three of our activities, the teaching materials we created include a slideshow with lecture and timer, step-by-step instructor's instruction guide matched to our slideshow, and also student handbooks with images and a more concise explanation of each activity. And we hope these student handbooks could be translated into the students' native language. So when we have a Wi-Fi cutoff, they could refer to these handbooks and continue with their activities and have fun. Next. Here are some final insights we have as a team. So first of all, having a slideshow is important, although we may not like be able to go through all the slides, but having it there is like a good structural thing to have. And second, we need to have a step-by-step instruction guide to, just in case like the instructors are not ourselves and a new instructor will come, they can follow the guide and guide the class. And then three, student handbooks will be helpful during like a Wi-Fi cutoff. Also, number 4, having real-time demo sometimes is like more effective than showing things on a slideshow. So like instead of showing things on a little tablet, we could just like stop sharing screen and put a camera to our own tables and demonstrate to students what we mean when we say like create or model. And finally, we need to allow time for translation. And below is a table we made in terms of different materials we need on the blue side, matched to different technical situations on the right side. For instance, if we have like reliable Wi-Fi, then we get to use our slideshow more. If we have unreliable Wi-Fi, then we might rely more on our real-time demos. Next. Thank you for listening to our presentation. And here we have a question and answer session, and all the team members will answer the questions and feedbacks you have. Thank you.
Can you stop sharing the screen, Sylvie? Thank you. So yeah, thank you so much, Team 2, for presenting your projects. Are there any questions from the crowd?
I just wanted to say, me. I just wanted to say, awesome presentation, and I thought the use of the GIFs that you guys added based on your feedback was probably really helpful because it made it really clear, at least for me, when I was looking at what your exercise was. And I'm wondering if maybe in the chair one, you're considering adding some GIFs showing how to fold and make the flaps, and then maybe how the pieces would fit together to show you different connection points. Maybe that would help encourage different kinds of structural thinking that you kind of figured out through the process of the chopstick exercise, maybe. And I also thought the school, I don't know if we got feedback from the students of being encouraged to share their cultural stories with each other of like cool things that they use, or just customs and tools, because it's kind of showing with example of something from your background to share with them, and maybe it would encourage them to share with each other. So I thought that was really awesome too.
Yeah, great job. Thank you. So for the chair activities, yes, maybe we should try like making some pre-recorded GIF videos or like GIF images. But at the same time, I think when Karan led the class with the Red Cross Center boys, she like tried to demonstrate in person on camera, like how these things she's demonstrating works. And for the chopstick activity, we do have a guided like discussion question, but of course, based on how like things actually goes in class, it's not like very restricted. We try to let the discussion flow freely, and a lot of students like we're very open and interested in sharing the food and utensils from their culture. But of course, there are also like advanced boys who feel more comfortable talking. So we want to see if the same situation happen again with like new students to this program, and maybe like future sessions where we teach this to the new students.
Cool. Any other thoughts or feedback or questions you guys have?
Yeah, only just some feedback that the team knows it because we discussed it, that both of the activities that went with the centers, the boys had really fun. And that's in terms of activity, it's one of the most important things when we do something for the first time with a new group of the boys that we want to create relationship. It's really nice to have the element of fun. So they will really enjoy, and we have some very, how you call it? Some boys that they really speak themselves and they are really, how do you call it? Appetiticos. Can someone help me?
Demanding.
Demanding. Yes. Yes. So we received really good feedback for them. Thank you, Smini.
Cool.
Thank you.
I just want to
say something.
Oh, sorry, Ismi. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to thank both teams for working with us the last months. And yeah, for working so closely with the Horizon staff to produce these activities for our beneficiaries. It's been a challenging time with the lockdowns, and we are in uncharted territory right now with the toolbox classes. But thank you so much for creating this content and the slides and the worksheets, and you brought to us a complete series so the instructors can try and teach these classes to try these new activities out and teach these classes to the beneficiaries. We tried with the girls a few activities, and we're planning, Saya and Dorcas have used your materials, yes, to prepare the next class. So we're waiting to do the next class with the IOM Center, and we will do the cardboard activity. They also tested the activity themselves, and they really enjoyed doing that. Yes, we're just very grateful for all that you have done for us. And for you, Hiwon, thank you so much for being so warm and always being so encouraging and yeah, connecting us together.
Thank you, Ismini.
Great. So I'm sorry that it kind of like went over time, but just wanted to say some last words that students did a really great job this semester, so I'm really pleased. I think a lot of the Grand Center staff are also pleased as well. We will continue to try to use these activities and then try to modify it to our usage. But thank you once again. So big hand to you guys. Big thanks to the Grand Center staff for helping us out on everything. Really great. The county comp is really hard to do this type of projects and stuff over here in the US. So once again, thank you so much for being patient and then trying to be involved with the students. And then also, I know it was really challenging, especially for Dimitri's to kind of make these classes happen at Red Cross and everything. So thank you so much for making it happen. And Izzy, thank you so much for your team to kind of take on these activities and now trying to do it at the Girls Center. So yeah, thank you so much. So yeah, if there are no more questions, we're gonna wrap it here, and I'm gonna have like a more reflection session with the students, which I don't think you guys will like to hear about. It'll take too much of your time. But once again, thank you so much, guys. And if you have any questions and thoughts, just like email me. You guys all know my email, so yeah. But I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. You wanna come up and
Bye-bye.
Congratulations, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, guys. Talk to you soon. And thank you so much for joining the call today, guys. Yeah, I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys,
Bye.
for all your hard work.
And thank you for all the warm messages for those who left the class early.
Just us
Okay, so it's just us. All right.